Hello, good evening, Anya, Vidhi, all of you, all the students, welcome back for the revision lectures. Revision lectures now, we are beginning with the revision lectures, and today's revision lecture is coming on atoms and molecules. This lecture was done earlier also, so we will be trying to revise the course and also do a lot of questions on every chapter. Those questions which are important for the exams will be discussed. Then there will be question answer sessions, quiz sessions, exercises. You will be able to answer every question which is important for exams. You are aware this is a very important topic because earlier, what we told you that we have told you what is matter. We told you what is matter, students. Tell me. Tell me what is matter? What is matter? What we do? What we told you about the matter? Everything around us is a matter. Every substance is a matter which has mass, which has volume. Now the question was that ancient Indian and Greek philosophers, they wanted to know the matter is something which I can see. Supposing this is a glass. Let me say this is a glass. Can you see the glass? Tell me yes or no. You can see the glass. You can see the houses. You can see the human beings. You can see the pen. You can see the objects which are on earth. But the problem is they were wondering, the Greek Indian philosophers were wondering what is not seen here, the unseen matter. What I am talking is unseen matter. There is something which I can't see. If I look anything, if I look a piece of stone, if I look a piece of rock, if I look anything, but there is something in this matter which is not visible, which is not cannot be seen by the eyes. And this idea 500 BC, I am talking of the idea of divisibility of matter. What I'm saying, divisibility of matter. That means what the philosophers were trying to tell, that if you have a big piece of matter, you can start cutting it into smaller pieces. And what they think that a time will come after which we cannot divide the matter any further. We cannot divide. That smallest piece will come. They say there will be a smallest piece which cannot be divided. Which cannot be divided. Everything was based on divisibility. You have an apple. What they are saying, this is our apple. You start cutting the apple. You slice it, slice. Now keep on slicing, keep on slicing. Then they say that, okay, how much more slicing, more slicing. And they say, okay, one time will come when you won't be able to slice it any further. The matter was known as Padarth. You know what is Padarth? What they say Padarth in our ancient philosophers. PADARTH, पदार्थ. वो कह रहे हैं पदार्थ जो है उसको कितना डिवाइड कर सकते हैं. कोई smaller and smaller particles, those particles which I cannot see with my eyes, smaller and smaller particles. और इसका नाम उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने कहा कि एक time will come when you will get a smallest particle का what name was given to the smallest particle by Indian philosophers. What they said कि smallest particle परमाणु. And the Greek philosophers like Democritus suggested that as we go on dividing a matter A stage will come when the particles cannot be further subdivided. What they were trying to say that as you keep dividing the matter, you keep dividing the matter, and what will happen? A stage will come when you will not be able to divide any further, which you cannot divide any further. A very small particle will be there. And tell me what was the name given to that smallest particle by these Greek philosophers? What was the name? Tell me what name was given by the Greek philosophers to the particle which cannot be divided any further. Student, what do you know about that? Tell me what is the name of that particle? You know it? You know it. What is the meaning of that also? Tell me, Anya, what name was given to those particles which cannot be divided? You know about that? That is the whole chapter we are talking about. Atoms. Atoms mean in Greek which cannot be, which is indivisible. Atom means indivisible, which cannot be divided. That is an atom. Now this is all which I have talked is philosophy. This is the philosophy. There is nothing scientific in this. Science needs information based on experiments. This is philosophical explanations, but we need scientific explanations. So the scientists started thinking about it. Now the scientists come. And this is by the end of the 18th century, I'm talking of 18th century. So 18th century, the scientists start working on it. The scientists become interested in finding the smallest particle or smallest particle of the matter, which cannot be divided. And in 18th century, you know what happened? The scientists have, after 18th century, the elements were known and compounds were also known. The scientists discovered that there are elements and compounds. There are elements and compounds. Tell me, what are elements? What are elements? What is an element? How many elements you are having? What is an element? What is an element, students? How do you define an element? You are saying element is made up of one type of atom.
Sir,
one type of atom. Element is what? When I say it is an element, carbon element, I am saying hydrogen element.
sir, it is a pure substance which
In the
cannot be
book, you
broken
will
down.
see a periodic table in which today they have given 118 elements have been listed in the modern periodic table. This is a, if I say carbon element means I put here diamond. I put a piece of diamond before you. You will say it is made up of a carbon element. That means only carbon is present in the pure form of the diamond. Nothing else. And the smallest particle, which we have of this is what you are saying, carbon element. You are saying the diamond is made up of carbon element. If I put a piece of copper, you are saying it is made up of copper elements. This copper is pure copper elements. There is nothing beyond that in it. So it's the simplest, substance which cannot be divided. which cannot be divided, you are saying, and show its own properties. They have got discovered at that time that there are elements, but they also find that these elements do not exist as individual things. They are not existing as individual elements, but they combine. They find that the elements combine, and they form what they call as compounds. Compounds. For example, you have seen hydrogen is an element, oxygen is an element, and they combine to form H2O. So H2O is a compound. These elements are combining and forming compounds. We will see what is the meaning of a compound also, because so their interest became, the scientists became interested to know why elements combine. Why elements combine? So this was the interest at that time. Why will the elements combine? Why the elements don't exist as such? Few are existing as pure in the pure form, but most of the elements you will see they are combining. Why elements combine was the question before scientists. How will we know? What experiments we will do now? Now the philosophy is being taken over by science. Science means scientific thinking. Scientists. So we have realized the difference between element and compound. That there are elements which is made up of only single atoms, single particles, simplest, cannot be divided. And then we are saying there are compounds which contain more than one element. Compounds contain more than one element. And why will the elements combine? So started the study of the chemical laws, what we call as the chemical laws, or why will the elements combine to form molecules or compounds. And they also wanted to study what happens these elements when they combine, and what happens when they will react. So they are finding out how and why elements combine, and what happens when they combine with each other. And of course, after this, you know what happened. After this, you know what happened. Can you tell me what happened after this? What we are saying, that they started studying the laws of chemical combination. Laws of chemical combination. Laws of chemical combination. Chemicals are combining. These compounds are combining. These compounds are reacting. And when these compounds will react, what will happen? They wanted to study this, that there are certain laws of chemical combination. Laws of the chemical. Let us see what are those laws of chemical combination now. Let me rub this board. Let me see what are the, now we are coming to laws of the chemical combination. What I am saying, that the scientists up in 18th century, at the end of the 18th century, could find elements are there, compounds are there. They find element is the simplest substance which cannot be broken, but more than one element can combine to form what they call as compounds. So we were interested to know, why do elements combine, what, how they react, what are the chemical reactions, and therefore they started doing experiments, and came the laws of chemical combination. Laws of chemical combination important for us. Laws of chemical combination. So let us see what are the laws of the chemical combination. What are the laws of, as you can see here, we have told you what are atoms. And atoms combine to form molecules, and they were interested to study what we call as laws of chemical combination. So this is began the study of this. And you have known, can you tell me the name of the scientists who were involved in these experiments? Who were the scientists who were studying the laws of the chemical combination? Can you tell me the name? Anya, who are the scientists who are studying laws of chemical combination? So they started the chemical science, or the laws were studied. Can you tell me what are the laws of chemical combination? Can you tell me what are the laws of chemical combination? Name of the scientist. Question was given in the paper. Name the scientists who were involved in the laws of the chemical combination. What are those? Do you know? Can you name one or two scientists? Anya, you know the name? Name of the scientist? Vidhi, you have any idea about the names of the scientists who were doing chemical combinations, and they then gave two important laws of chemical combination, which we are going to discuss. You know about Lavoisier?
Sir Lavoisier, Joseph
Lavoisier.
L. Proust, and Antoine. Yes, sir.
And you know about Proust. So they were doing and studying, they were chemically combining and doing chemical reactions, on the basis of which they gave two important laws of chemical combination. What is the first law I'm talking about? What is it? You know what is law of conservation of mass? What do you mean by law of conservation of mass? Tell me, what is the meaning of law of conservation of mass? What do you know about it? What do you know about law of conservation of mass? Students, what they are doing chemical reactions. And they are measuring the mass of the reactants and mass of the products. What you are doing? You are reacting two things. You are reacting two substances. What will happen? New substances will be formed. And you measure the mass, total mass of the reactants, and you measure the total mass of the products. Tell me, these masses will be same or different? These masses will be same or different. Is there a change in mass when a chemical change takes place? The question is this. What is the question? Question
Sir,
I'm
the
asking.
law of conservation of mass
Is
states that mass
there
can neither be
a
created nor
change
destroyed in
in
a chemical
mass
reaction.
when a chemical change takes place? When a chemical change or a reaction takes place. Supposing a chemical change or reaction takes place, tell me where there will be change in mass or no. What you will say that, okay, we will use an activity. I will do an activity to find this. What activity I will do? Supposing I have a solution of barium chloride and sodium sulfate. Barium chloride, and I am saying sodium sulfate. What is the name of this compound? Barium chloride. Barium chloride. ठीक है? What I will do? I will prepare two solutions. I'm going to prepare two solutions. How do you prepare a solution? How do you prepare a solution? Supposing I prepare 5% solution of barium chloride and 5% solution of sodium sulfate. You know how to make the solution? Tell me what is the solution? Anya, what is the solution we defined in the chapter? How do you make a solution? You will take 5 gram of barium chloride and dissolve in 95 milliliter of water. It will become 5% BaCl2. What you have? You are making solutions. How will you make a solution? Okay. This is my water and you are making barium chloride solution. You will dissolve this. How much? 5% means 5 gram in 95 milliliter of water. Similarly, you will take 5% of sodium sulfate. So you have made two solutions. You have made two solutions. Okay? And what I say that this is my solution X. This is my solution Y. Supposing I have two solutions X and Y. X and Y. Okay? Now you take, supposing 10 milliliter of this Y. This is the, you say conical flask. You can see this is a conical flask. What it is called? Conical flask. In this conical flask, what you are doing? What do you have here in this conical flask? This is a conical flask. Inside this, you have taken solution Y. How much? 10 milliliter. I am supposing 10 milliliter of solution Y. Here is a test tube. Test tube. This is called a small ignition tube in chemistry lab. In chemistry lab, you have what? A test tube. This is a test tube. Inside this, you will take X. Here you have Y. And inside this, you are taking solution X. Supposing I take 10 milliliter and 10 milliliter of this. This tube is, you can see, hooked. And the solution is not mixed. It is not mixed yet. These two are not mixed. And you will close this by a cork. What is this cork? Conical flask, small ignition tube. Two solutions are there. These two solutions are not mixed. They are separated from each other. The solutions are separated. So what you can do then? You can take the weight of this. You can take the weight of this. You can take the weight of this flask and these two solutions. Everything, cork, everything. You weigh it. You can weigh it in the lab, yes or no? Tell me. Can you weigh it? Tell me, students, you can weigh this. You can weigh the flask. Tell me, do you have, how to weigh the things in your labs? Nowadays, they have electronic balances also, by which they can take the weights. You have taken the weight of these two. Now, what do you do? What do you do then? You can then twist. You can then tilt and swirl the flask. Swirl the flask. You tilt and swirl the flask. You shake it completely, student. Shake. This is closed from the top. This is closed from the top. What will happen? What will happen? Tell me. When you will shake it, tilt it, what will happen, student? Tell me. What will happen in the flask? What will happen? Can you tell me, Anya, what will happen? Tell me what will happen in the flask. Chemical reaction will take place. Chemical reaction takes place. What chemical reaction is taking place? You have barium chloride. I'm saying that you have barium chloride formula I'm writing, and you have sodium sulfate. These are aqueous solution, students. What you will get? Barium sulfate. This is a solid, and you have NaCl, aqueous. Chemical reaction takes place. Now you wait. After the reaction is complete, students, you wait it. What do you do? Wait. You can wait. Tell me yes or no. Wait. So you again wait. This is closed from the top. You will see that. I'm not opened anything. Tell me, will the mass of the reaction before equal to the mass after the reaction? Tell me, what will happen to the mass? Will it change or remain the same? Will the mass remain same or change, student? This is an experiment. This is an activity which we have done. Will the mass remain same or change? Tell me. Will the mass remain same or change?
Sir, it will
You will
remain
observe,
same.
you will find that the mass before the reaction is equal to mass after the reaction. There is no change in mass. The mass is conserved. Mass is conserved. So this is the first law which I told you, laws of chemical combination. What we are saying, the mass is conserved, the mass is not changing. There's no change in mass, students, as you will see in the book. They have given an activity in your book that the mass is not, mass remains the same before and after the reaction, mass does not change. This shows that what it proves, this is called law of conservation of mass. You see that why did I put a cork and closed it? Because if some gas or anything is there, it may escape. So nothing is going out of the flask before and after the reaction. And therefore, what is the law of conservation of mass then? What do you mean by law of conservation of mass, student? Then? What statement I can give? Experiment has been done. After experiment, what statement can we give for this law? Let us clear the board, then you will be able to see. See, these are laws of chemical combination. We are doing a chemical change and we are studying the law. First law which I studied is what? The law of conservation of mass. The mass does not change after the chemical change has taken place. This is what we say, that this is the law of conservation of mass. The total mass before the reaction and total mass after the reaction is the same. This is called the law of conservation of mass. What do we call this? Law of conservation of mass. Another, after this, what we are going to study? Another law of chemical combination. Lavoisier and Proust, they were the people who were studying, they were the scientists who were doing these experiments on the chemical changes, chemical reactions, and they are taking the masses of these, weights of these, they are studying. They are studying. They are studying this. After this, what will happen now? So what you have studied? Law of conservation of mass. This is the first thing. What it says, that the mass cannot be created or destroyed. Mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. It remains conserved. Conserved means same. So this is the first law of chemical combination, which was experimentally verified. Scientifically, they are doing it after the 18th century. Second important law, here I have written, law of constant proportion. Law of constant proportion. Can you tell me, student, what is this law? What is this law? What is this law, and who noted all these things which we are talking? Lavoisier. What is the name, student? Lavoisier. What he observed? What he observed? What he observed? That compounds. What he observed? Compounds. Actually, observed many compounds at that time. He observed that many compounds were composed of two or more elements. Two or more elements. Two or more elements, and compounds always had the same elements, same elements in same proportion, same elements in same proportions. What it means? The elements, if I say, you are saying water, okay? You can take water from many sources, but he took water from many sources, water, and found water is always H2O. Water is a compound, students, and water always had in proportion 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. What he found? Water always had 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen, and he found the ratio of mass of hydrogen and oxygen. Wherever you take the water, the ratio was found to be, this is 1:8. The ratio was 1:8, always by mass. The ratio of mass of hydrogen to mass of oxygen was found to be the ratio of mass of hydrogen to the mass of oxygen. Mass of oxygen is always found to be 1:8. Take water from any source. What is the ratio of their masses? Always 1:8. He studied by chemical reactions. You know, they are studying the laws of chemical combination. They are studying by doing chemical reaction, students. Chemical reactions are being done and they are studying it. So after chemical reactions, they are doing it. What they are doing? After chemical reactions. This was done by Lavoisier. Water. You take any other compound you want to take, you take it. They will always combine in definite proportion, students, by mass, by mass. So there is a definite proportion of mass. That means if I take 9 gram of H2O, it will, if I break it, 9 gram, total 1 plus 8 is 9. How much hydrogen it will give me? If I break it, students, it will give me 1 gram of hydrogen and 8 gram of oxygen. 1 gram hydrogen and 8 grams of oxygen. If I take 9 grams, 9 grams. If I take 27 gram of H2O and I break it, how many grams of hydrogen you will get? 3 and 24 gram of oxygen. So this is a law of what I'm saying, constant proportion, law of constant proportion. If I take ammonia, what they found? NH3 ammonia. So what they found, that if you take ammonia, ammonia is always made up of 1 atom of nitrogen and a 3 atom of hydrogen, and the ratio of their masses, is 14:3. Always 14:3. 14 gram of nitrogen and 3 gram of hydrogen. If I take 17 grams of ammonia, it will give me 14 gram of nitrogen and 3 gram of hydrogen. They have been doing chemical reactions to study this at that time. At that time, students, at that time they were studying around 18th century. 18th century. So this is important. The just the 18th century is ending. At that time, the laws of chemical combinations were verified, were studied experimentally. Lavoisier and Proust. I'm talking of Lavoisier and Proust. These two laws are very important. How many laws I gave you? 1 and 1, 2. Any doubt here? Tell me, students, you have any doubt? Any doubt? Anya, you have any doubt?
No.
Vidhi, any doubt here? The laws of chemical combinations. Further, then what happened? After these laws were given, then after studying the laws of chemical combination, a very important scientist name is there in the books. Dalton was able to give his theory, which is called Dalton's atomic theory. Dalton's atomic theory is very important at that time and is actually a great success at that time. Dalton gave his theory of atom. Dalton gave his theory of the matter. So he said the postulates of theory was given by Dalton after studying the laws of chemical combination. Laws of chemical combination were studied, and then Dalton gave his laws. What are the Dalton's law? This is very important development because ultimately the entire science is based on atoms and molecules. Everything is the study of atoms and molecules. Chemistry, bio, all this. What we will be doing? Study of these atoms and molecules. So Dalton was there. Dalton has given very, very important law. Dalton's atomic theory is very important, students. Dalton's atomic theory. What is Dalton's atomic theory? Dalton's atomic theory. They will be asked in the paper. Dalton, after studying the laws of the chemical combination, he gave his what is known as Dalton's atomic theory. These are also called postulates of Dalton. He gave certain postulates. Which is a theory. First thing he now says that the matter is made up of very, very small particles, which he called as atoms. The matter, every matter he says is made up of very tiny particles, which were called as atoms, students, atoms. And they participate in the chemical reactions, atoms. So he gave the idea of the atoms, theory of atom. The atom is now becoming important, that there is every matter has atom, which takes part in the chemical reaction, So which participate in a chemical reaction. The first postulate, which participate in a chemical reaction, students, very important. When he said atoms are indivisible particles. Atoms are indivisible. They cannot be broken further. Indivisible particles. They are indivisible. Cannot be created or destroyed. Cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction, or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Third, atoms of a given element are identical. Atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties. Fourth postulate, atoms of different elements. Atoms are indivisible and they cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Atoms of a given element are identical in mass and chemical properties. Atoms of different elements are different in mass. So different elements have different mass, different chemical properties, because these are different atoms. So atoms of different elements are different in mass and chemical properties. Very important point, still valid. Different atoms have different mass and different chemical properties. And atoms combine in the ratio, atoms are combining in the ratio of whole numbers, simple whole numbers to form what they are forming, to form compounds. If you form H2O, how many atoms? H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. CO2, 1 atom of carbon, 2 atoms of oxygen are combined. So atoms combine in a ratio of simple whole number. And in a compound, what we said, the law of definite proportion. In a compound, the number and kind of atoms are constant. Number and kind of atoms are constant, students. If I say H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. Water can be taken from any source. They will always have 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen, always. Therefore, these are some of the important postulates. They are called the postulates or Dalton's atomic theory. What we are talking, students? Dalton's atomic theory. This is a very great result in science. After doing the chemical reaction studies, which we say laws of chemical combination. Dalton studied the laws of chemical combination, John Dalton, and he provided the basic theory about the nature of the matter. Up to now, you are struggling that matter, what is matter? We say keep on dividing, keep on dividing. There will be a particle, which cannot be divided. What is that particle then? They said, okay, let us do some study of the chemical changes, chemical reactions after elements and compounds knowledge was known to the scientists. They started what we call as the laws of chemical combination. And Dalton studied the laws of chemical combination and gave his Dalton's atomic theory. How many points he has written? These are called the postulates. 6 postulates I have written here. Matter is made up of very tiny particles, which he called atoms. They too take part in chemical reactions, and atom of the same element will be always same in mass and properties. Atom of different elements will be different in mass and properties, and number of different elements. And if atoms combine, they will combine in simple whole number ratio, and in a compound number and kind of atoms are constant. All this Dalton's atomic theory. Now you may be wondering then what is atom? Atom is a very tiny particle, is a very small particle. Atom is what is very small particle. Atoms are very small in small particles. And to get an idea of their atomic radius, if I consider atom is a sphere, spherical sphere as a radius. So the radius are coming in terms of nanometers. Here I am saying nanometer. Nanometer is very small unit. Nanometer, 1 meter, 10 minus 9 meter, 10 minus 9 meter. So you can see that you have seen 1 meter. 1 meter you have seen, students. The radius of the hydrogen atom is 10 minus 10 meter. Radius of hydrogen atom is very small. How much? 10 power minus 10 meter. 1 meter scale you have seen is 10 minus 10 meter. And the molecule of water which we have given is 10 minus 9 meter. Molecule of hemoglobin is 10 minus 8 meter. A grain of sand is 10 minus 4 meter. And an ant is 10 minus 2 meter. 10 minus 2 meter. So watermelon is 10 minus 1 meter. So you can compare the sizes with the everyday life objects. Can you see an atom with your eyes, students? Will you be able to see the atom with your eyes? Tell me. It is so small, it is so tiny, it is so small, it is so tiny. You will never be able to see an atom with your eyes, students. What we are talking of 10 minus 10 meters. 10 minus 10 meters. It is the size of the atom is very, very small. Therefore, we cannot see the atoms with our eyes. Alright, students, we are ending up today's lecture on this. We'll continue to do the revision of most of the important chapters of science, and we will be able to do large number of questions which are important also. So I'll meet you in my next class then. Further, we will tell you more about the symbols of the atoms, their masses, and then molecular masses, and certain important questions will be done on the chapter of atoms. Okay, then I'll see you in my next class. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
How was the lecture? Tell me, how did you like it? Okay, then we'll see you in our next class.